What would make an American doctor, someone who's spent decades in one of the world's most advanced healthcare systems, send their own child halfway across the world to study medicine in the Philippines? Why would parents who once fought to conquer U.S. medical school debt, exams, and residencies decide that their children's best future lies not in Harvard or Stanford, but in Cebu, Manila, or Dumaguete? The answer may change how you see global medical education forever. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because what you're about to hear might challenge everything you've been told about what it means to make it in medicine. In the U.S., the dream of becoming a doctor is beautiful, but brutally expensive. 4 years of undergraduate study, then medical school, then residency. By the time most graduates finally become doctors, they're staring at a mountain of debt, often $200,000 to $300,000 or more. And that's before they buy a home, start a family, or even think about retirement. Now imagine being a physician, a parent who's already survived that system. You know the cost, you know the stress, you've lived it. Would you want your child to go through the same? And what if, despite straight A grades, top MCAT scores, and glowing recommendations, your child still can't get into a U.S. medical school simply because there aren't enough spots? It's not fantasy. It's happening. Thousands of highly qualified students are rejected every year. So these parents, doctors themselves, are turning their gaze overseas, and their eyes are landing on a place that feels strangely familiar, yet thousands of miles away: the Philippines. The relationship between American and Philippine medicine didn't start yesterday. Over a century ago, during the U.S. colonial period, American administrators restructured Philippine education. They introduced English, Western medical training, and a system built on the very foundations of U.S. healthcare. Today, that legacy lives on. Textbooks are in English, classes mirror U.S. curricula, and Filipino doctors have long been recognized for their skill around the world, especially in America. So when American families search for international options that won't alienate their children linguistically or academically, the Philippines offers something rare, a familiar system in a different setting. But still, why the Philippines, and not Europe, or the Caribbean, or Australia? That answer lies in a combination of cost, accessibility, and compatibility. Let's talk money, because that's where reality bites hardest. In the United States, 4 years of medical school can easily top $300,000 in tuition and living expenses. Add in undergrad loans, and the total can push $500,000. Contrast that with the Philippines. Tuition in top medical schools like the University of the Philippines, UST, Ateneo, or Cebu Institute of Medicine is a fraction of that amount, sometimes as low as $20,000 to $40,000 total. That's not a typo. Same textbooks, same anatomy labs, different price tag. And when those numbers appear side by side on a spreadsheet, when doctors turned parents realized they could save hundreds of thousands of dollars and give their kids an equivalent education, suddenly, the Pacific Ocean doesn't look that wide. Would you make that choice for your child? But money isn't the only barrier. There's also access. Every year, more than 60,000 students apply to U.S. medical schools. Fewer than half are accepted. Many are turned away despite solid GPAs, excellent MCATs, and genuine passion. For some, that rejection feels final. For others, it's fuel. That's where Philippine medical schools step in. They offer something the U.S. system often doesn't: a second chance, without lowering the bar. Students still undergo rigorous screening. They still must complete pre-med studies, and they still face tough exams like the NMAT, but they're given an opportunity to prove themselves rather than being shut out at the starting line. Is it fair that some of the world's most capable future doctors must leave their home country just to study what they love? Or does it reveal something broken about the U.S. system itself? Of course, one critical question looms over every decision. Can these students come back and practice medicine in the United States? The short answer Yes, but it's not easy. Graduates from Philippine medical schools must pass the USMLE exams, the same ones American med students take. They must secure residency slots, competing head-to-head with U.S. grads. But many succeed. Filipino-educated doctors have been serving in U.S. hospitals for decades, some even becoming professors, department heads, or medical directors. And now, a growing number of American-born students, children of U.S. physicians, are walking that same road in reverse, bringing the journey full circle. Will the next generation of American doctors carry a Philippine medical degree? It's already happening. Dr. Michael Torres, a cardiologist from Chicago, remembers the moment he realized something had to change. His son, David, had the grades, the volunteer hours, the MCAT score, everything, but no acceptance letters. Michael had watched colleagues' children face the same heartbreak. That's when a family friend, also a doctor, mentioned the Philippines. "Try Cebu," he said. "It's not what you think." Months later, David was enrolled at Cebu Institute of Medicine, dissecting cadavers, attending morning rounds, and learning in English. The adjustment was hard. The weather was humid. The food was different. The pace of life, slower. But David thrived. By his second year, he was tutoring classmates. By his third, he'd earned honors. Now, he's back in the U.S., preparing for residency. When asked if he'd recommend it, his father smiles. "It's not the easy road," he says, "but it's the possible road." And sometimes, possible is all you need. Critics often ask, is the quality of education abroad the same? That depends on where you go. In the Philippines, top medical schools are accredited by the Commission on Higher Education and recognized by the World Federation for Medical Education. Clinical training happens in large public hospitals where students see diverse, real-world cases, everything from tropical diseases to trauma and chronic illness. Many American students say they get more hands-on experience earlier than their peers in the U.S. Imagine learning to deliver babies, manage emergencies, or perform sutures before you've even finished your second year. In resource-limited settings, students learn creativity, compassion, and adaptability. They witness medicine stripped of bureaucracy, medicine that's raw, urgent, and human. What's more valuable, studying in gleaming U.S. labs or treating real patients in busy wards where your decisions matter? There's another advantage, one less talked about, but deeply transformative: cultural empathy. Studying medicine in the Philippines means living among people whose warmth, resilience, and community spirit redefine what healthcare means. Students learn to treat not just diseases, but people, families, stories. When they return home, they bring with them a global understanding of health that few U.S. programs can replicate. Could it be that in choosing a path abroad, these students gain something that money can't buy: perspective? But let's not sugarcoat it. The decision to study abroad isn't risk-free. Students face homesickness, unfamiliar systems, and sometimes skepticism from residency programs back home. Some hospitals still prefer U.S.-trained graduates. Some employers quietly dismiss foreign-educated applicants. And yet, the tide is turning. Residency directors increasingly judge candidates by scores, skills, and attitude, not by where their degree came from. And as more American Philippine graduates succeed, the stigma fades. So what happens when the U.S. medical establishment realizes that its own doctors are voting with their feet and their wallets? Could this be the pressure that finally forces reform in American medical education? Consider this. If enough American students go abroad, U.S. schools may have to rethink their tuition models. They may need to justify why a 4-year education costs more than a small house. They may need to prove that prestige equals better outcomes. Because if American parents, especially doctors, stop believing in the domestic system, the entire economic foundation of U.S. medical education could shift. Is this the beginning of that revolution? There's another layer few outsiders see. For decades, Filipino healthcare workers have been the backbone of global medicine. Nurses, physicians, therapists, serving everywhere from California to Qatar. That network now supports the new generation of American students studying there. Mentorships, alumni support, hospital partnerships. When an American student in Manila prepares for Step 1, chances are their review group includes Filipino doctors who've already aced it and are happy to help. That sense of camaraderie, of we're in this together, becomes a safety net few international programs can offer. Maybe that's why American families describe the Philippines not as a foreign detour, but as a second home. Still, not everyone is convinced. Some U.S. educators warn that studying abroad is a gamble. They argue that not all foreign schools meet consistent standards, that students risk delays in licensing, and that competition for residencies will only get tougher. They have a point. A student's success depends on preparation, discipline, and choosing the right school. There are no shortcuts, no easy guarantees. But for families who've weighed the risks and found that the U.S. system itself offers no guarantee either, the gamble feels worth it. After all, what's riskier, paying $300,000 for a chance at a dream, or paying less than half that for a real shot? Beyond economics and logistics, there's emotion. Parents worry about distance, safety, and their child's adjustment. Students worry about belonging, about being far from home. Yet again and again, the stories converge on growth. They come home more independent, more mature, more grateful. They learn resilience, the kind no textbook can teach. And when they finally stand in U.S. hospitals wearing white coats, they carry something rare. Humility forged through challenge. Maybe that's what the world needs in its next generation of healers. In an interview, Dr. Liza Nguyen, an internist from California, admitted something unexpected. I used to tell my kids, only U.S. med schools, nothing else. She laughs softly. Now, one's in Manila, the other's applying to Davao. What changed? The system, she says. It's broken. We tell young people to follow their passion, then we lock the doors on them. The Philippines opened one. Her voice wavers. And honestly, I'm proud of them. Would you be? Over the past decade, international medical graduates from the Philippines have maintained some of the highest U.S. licensing exam pass rates among foreign schools. U.S. residency programs, from internal medicine to surgery, are taking notice. And as global collaboration in telemedicine, AI, and public health expands, the idea of where you study medicine may matter less than how well you practice it. Could we be entering an era where the stethoscope knows no borders? If the trend continues, we may soon see partnerships between U.S. and Philippine medical institutions, dual degrees, joint residencies, shared research. Technology already connects classrooms across continents. Imagine live telelectures where professors in Boston teach students in Manila in real time, and vice versa. The pandemic proved that medicine is global. Now, education is catching up. So when American doctors choose to send their children abroad, maybe they're not just escaping debt. Maybe they're preparing them for a borderless future, one where empathy and expertise matter more than geography. Let's fast forward 5 years. A young American doctor stands in a hospital in New York. Her white coat reads, MD, University of the Philippines. Her attending asks about her training. She tells him about the nights she spent rotating in overcrowded wards, learning to improvise with minimal supplies, seeing hundreds of patients a week. He nods. You'll fit right in. And just like that, the cycle closes. The Philippines, once the student of American medicine, has become its teacher. If you're a student dreaming of medicine but discouraged by rejection letters or impossible tuition, know this. There are doors beyond your borders. If you're a parent, maybe even a doctor yourself, wondering if sending your child abroad means settling, ask yourself, is settling saving their dream or letting it die in bureaucracy? And if you're watching this thinking, could I really do it? Could I study in another country? The answer is closer than you think. The future doctor is global. They speak multiple languages, navigate diverse cultures, and treat patients with empathy born of experience. They're not limited by borders or bound by prestige. They're defined by their purpose. And maybe, just maybe, the Philippines is where that purpose finds its home. So, why are American doctors sending their children to study medicine in the Philippines? Because they're tired of a system that prices dreams out of reach. Because they believe in education that prioritizes learning over loans. Because they know that compassion doesn't need an Ivy League address. And perhaps deep down, they realize something profound. Medicine was never about where you study. It's about why you study. If this story opened your eyes, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more powerful documentaries that dig beneath the headlines. Because somewhere in a dorm room in Manila, a future American doctor is studying late into the night, proving that passion knows no passport, and their journey has only just begun.